My friends, this is not an ad, but an important announcement, so please listen up. I've made the decision to move the hub of the Courageous Pivot podcast off of Substack and onto my very own beautiful property at courageouspivot.com. So please ignore any asks of you to go and subscribe at Substack. The magic and the inner circle is building at courageouspivot.com. Head there to subscribe to this show, to get the episodes dropped into your inbox whenever they go live, as well as a few inner circle bonuses that are coming up. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for continuing to endure my little micro pivots as they come. I appreciate you being here, and I hope you enjoy this episode. Hello, and welcome back to the Courageous Pivot podcast. I'm your host, Meghan Telpner, and I have another extremely special episode today with one of my truly dearest friends, Amber Joliat. Also goes by Amber J, or you might know her movement studios that used to be in Toronto called Misfit. Amber is a longtime friend of mine. At the start of the interview, we talk about how we met. We go back about 19 years. So we've traversed each other's lives, coming in and out, and the last several years have become very close, speaking on a regular basis. So it's always interesting to interview someone where I kind of know all the answers, but also don't, or we never really talk about it in this sort of structured way. I will share Amber's bio with you. It goes like this. Amber Joliat is the founder of Misfit Method, a unique movement methodology that blends Pilates, dance, and yoga with her fine arts background. She's a graduate of OCAD University's Florence program. Amber began dancing at age 3 and teaching by 12. She taught creative jazz at the Canadian Children's Dance Theatre until 2002 and led classes across Canada before opening the first Misfit studio in 2010. Amber created her signature Misfit Method teacher training in 2013 and has taught globally at Goop, Wonderlust, and Lululemon events. She has hosted international retreats for over a decade and has been featured in Vogue, Elle, and Toronto Life. A Lululemon ambassador for 10 years, she has built a video library of over 400 classes that continues to inspire a worldwide community. What Amber doesn't have in her bio, which is why I really wanted to speak to her, is that in June of 2020, she was effectively canceled by her own staff. We go through that story, and she actually revealed after our interview that those trolls still abound, that there are still people out there keen on doing whatever they can to take her down again and again. And so many of the guests that I've hosted, almost all of them, their courageous pivots have been of their own choosing. In Amber's case, it most certainly was not her choice. And so for the first time, she talks about it. She has written about it on her Substack, but we go deeper into that conversation about what happened, her life since, as well as her breast cancer diagnosis that came in 2024 and how that has impacted who she is, her life, how she views the world, how she views her body. And then we get into what's next. So I kindly ask that you listen with an open mind and open heart as always. If ever you were to leave comments, support, a show of love, this is the episode for that. I hope you enjoy this conversation with my friend Amber. Welcome, Amber Joliat, to the Courageous Pivot podcast.
Thank you.
I'm so happy to have you here.
I'm honored to be here. Thank you, Meghan.
I'm going to first say that, well, I'm just getting over a cold, so I'm still a little bit like nasally. So there's that. But I wanted to share how we know each other, because you're one of those people that I remember the first moment I met you. You're not going to remember the first moment you met me, because I came into one of your yoga classes. It was yoga. It was called Power Yoga. It was like down on Queen Street. And I've always been fiscally conscious, financially aware. And I had a student, I had just gotten a student card and I was like, I'm going to buy student passes to all these yoga studios so I can go to yoga as a student for the next year. And that's what I did. And I came to your class and I was like, oh, she's so cute. And we're the same size.
I think we are exactly the same height.
Yeah. And I loved your class and your voice and the whole thing. I was like, this woman is magic. Like, who is this? And I just kept coming to your classes. And I was always like very intimidated by you.
Really?
Yeah, you were so cool and beautiful and, like, just had such I felt like you had just such a sense of agency over who you were, and I
Mm,
really admired that.
mm, mm.
And then I just kept coming to your classes and all the weird studios you had.
Oh my God, all of the weird studios. So I think we're talking about the one before I had my own.
Yes, it
Up
was
the
like a
stairs. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Mhm,
that
mhm,
one.
mhm,
But then there was, like, the Dun, and then there was, like, behind Fluvog off Queen Street, and
mhm.
then there was one next to the beer store, then there was on top of Anthropologie, and
Yeah,
then there was Ossington.
you remember all of it. Ossington, and then the other Ossington, and then the Geary Street, and then the Bloor Street, and then
And then the
and then
crash,
and
which
then
we'll get to.
Flames.
The fire. So you primarily, I mean, just as a background, you were a movement instructor, teacher. You taught Pilates, you taught yoga, dance.
Mhm,
Now, what I feel like it is sort of like a hybrid mashup of yoga, Pilates, and 80s aerobics, and then some ecstatic dance.
totally. Yeah, totally.
So you came from a dance background.
I did. Should we
Tell
go
me
back
about
there?
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna go back there first, and then
I would
we'll get to the fire. We'll work our way up to the fires.
Okay. Okay, great. I have what I love about starting at the beginning is that I feel like I'm really going there lately. I'm looking back, it's part of the dissecting and the untangling and the trying to make meaning out of it all. And looking back is it's really interesting to me to see that there has always been a through line. There has been just a constant. So yes, I my parents put me in dance, ballet when I was 3, and it was in a church, which is interesting because what I remember is like the visceralness, the smell, the dust particles coming in, the streaming light through the stained glass windows, the kind of like that echoing sound of a live pianist, the grinding of resin in the resin box before we stepped onto the floor. Like it was so visceral, and I loved it. I just loved every part of it. I loved my teacher. She smelled like roses. Her name was Elaine. I mean, everything about who she was like I idolized her. She stood with a stick. I mean, she was kind of like Debbie Allen. She was channeling Russian ballerina, and I just loved her. I loved dance. I loved being there. And then, like, this is the part where I think is interesting. And I wish I could ask her these questions. But what was it that she saw in me at age 12 that she really took me under her wing and mentored me and guided me and showed me her way? So by the time I was 14, I was teaching for her, kind of a lot, 5 days a week. And she, through that journey, like really set me on my path. Yeah.
Did you ever question that as your path, movement and
Never,
dance? Never.
never, never. The only time there was a mild crossroads was when I was deciding what to do in post-secondary education. And it was like, do I keep painting? Because painting was also always allowed. And if I explore painting and art and the history of art, like what does that do for a life? Versus do I go to dance, and what is a dance degree? Like, what is that? And so it was that moment that what I did instead was I followed the art because I thought like an art degree had more weight, whereas I will always dance forever.
Mm.
Yeah. So it was less a question. It was just like there was a knowing. And and the other part that I think is relevant in this, because I've really tried to go back and understand like what is it about the things that happened in that early space that imprinted so completely in my cellular body that dance became a part of who I am, how I stand, how I move, how I experience life. And I also wonder, There was this tragic event when I was 9 years old. My father was hit and killed by a car. And I feel like I should share. I will share
Yeah.
this. And I think you know this, but I dreamt the accident. And so I felt
You
as
dreamt the accident before it happened?
probably as it was happening, like
Mm.
the night that he was hit and killed by a car, I dreamt it. So when the noise and the chaos of the family receiving the news and going through their process, I knew what had happened. And that was really complicated. I went inward in a really dark way. I thought I caused it. And then I had to understand what that was. And I stopped talking. And the only thing that helped me feel was dancing.
Mm.
It brought me back to life. It brought me back to the moment. It brought me back to maybe surrender, maybe joy, maybe connection. I didn't have the language to use those words then, but it was the only thing that I needed to do to get through.
Mm. I mean, I've known this about you and your history.
Mhm.
I think you just telling it to me now then hit differently, I think because my son is 8.5 almost,
Yeah.
and thinking about I have some idea of how he perceives the world, and it's still very much about him. Everything's a cause and effect around him.
Mm,
Um, so dance kept you moving when you couldn't keep talking. What was it like in your family
mm.
after that?
Well, the other thing that I do feel grateful that my mother had the resources to understand I was not okay. And she also put me in a grief group. And
Mm.
and it was really orchestrated around art therapy. So I painted the same painting over and over and over, but painting was another form of expression for me to work through what was happening. But what happened in our family, I mean, we were kind of already a bit of the black sheep in the family.
You mean your family in relation to your relatives?
Correct. Correct. My father was a really interesting, unique artist, actually. And he left home when he was 16 and never spoke to his family again.
Mm.
So my understanding of family was my mother and her family. And she's one of 6 siblings, and they are characters, let's say, all of them, each of them in their own way. And my mother married my father, which was very controversial because she was the one that married out of faith. She did not marry a Jew. And then we lived in the beaches, which was so all of these things were really hard for the rest of the family to understand
And for context, the Beaches is not known as a Jewish community in the least
at all.
at all.
No, no, kind of, especially what are we talking like late 70s? It was artists, it was vagabonds, it was people who were living on the outskirts, it was outcasts. And yet it was beautiful and idyllic and what a gorgeous way to grow up, truly. But it 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 was just like a dark cloud was over our home for a really long time. My sister was 2. My mother was 37. I mean, it was the love of her life. I mean, there's so many. And now, now being married, now having a daughter, I see it from all of our angles. And
Mhm.
we did the best we could. But I read once in my years of studying grief, which has been another through line of curiosity for me. There is something that happens with a tragedy like death. It either bonds a family together or it rips them apart. And my mother and my sister and I have had a hard time finding our way.
Mm.
Hmm.
Mhm. With that, you had dance and on your own, 100% on your own, you built and created these studios and a thriving, beautiful community.
Yeah.
How did you do that?
Yeah. And I do these are questions I have been asking myself because part of me truly has no idea. I don't
Mm.
know. There was this thing that was driving me, and I just kept with it. And it was
Mhm.
beautiful, and it was magic, and it was powerful, it was curious, it was experiment, it was art, it was me, it wasn't me, it was part of me, it was all of me. I mean, it was just this, like, lightning bolt that was thrilling. But I do think it's relevant to go back just a little because, okay, so 12, I was, like, taken under the wing, 14, I was teaching for my dance teacher. That really kept going until I went into high school, and I went to a performing arts high school where I became really good friends with my dance teacher and theater teacher, who are still friends today. And my dance teacher kind of did the same thing. She said, "There's something in you that I see in me, and I'm ready to pass on my baton to someone else." And she introduced me to Deborah, who owned the Canadian Children's Dance Theatre. And I landed the job guiding, running, leading the creative jazz program. I did it for 7 years. I started when I was 19 years old. And those kids I taught from the ages of 3 to the age of 18. So I was teaching kids my age. But there was something in those years where I was curious about conversation and movement. What I was remembering, um, were these circles. I would sit in circle with the girls, especially kind of preteen into the teen years, and talk about, I mean, it was, at this point, it was the 90s, late 90s, but we didn't have the language or even the skill set to say, like, body dysmorphia, but we were just talking about body. We were talking about the complexity that everyone goes through being in
Mhm.
their own body. And it was women, and I think a lot of it was influenced by fashion magazines and tabloid magazines. I mean, that was our life. And, this, like, really strange comparison thing that we did to these models that were like, they're statuesque, they're impossible. And we would talk about it and then get up and move our bodies. And so I only am remembering all of this now because I'm trying to, like, think about this thing in me that has always been curious about what happens in the physical body and how is it so profoundly alchemizing and transformative to just, like, get us out of the head, out of the
Mhm.
tangled up mess that our thoughts can so often do, and be fully present and be fully immersed in joy and elation. And I'm like, oh God, those were some of my favorite years. And I think it really helped me also understand myself.
Mhm.
I loved those spaces. And so it was through that I found yoga. Yoga set me on a path of spirituality and diving into, like, Ashtanga and the primary series and understanding all of these, like, the bodies, the spiritual body, the energetic body, the chakra system. I mean, it just, like, it kept opening different portals for me to infuse into this thing that was still like an experiment, because truly it was still my experiment of how can I not get stuck in my own heaviness and darkness and grief and sorrow and tragedy, and live in a place where I want to live, which is in the movement practice. That's where I want to
Mhm.
live. I want to live there all the time in the euphoria of movement. And then through yoga, I found Pilates, and then I started experimenting at that studio that you first started taking class in, and really mixing in this, like, intuitive knowing from dance, this kind of spirituality of yoga, and then this, like, deep anatomical and muscular fire that happened with the Pilates work. And it was at that studio that I started to see, there's like a thing happening. There's something, there is a response. There is this symbiotic, I am understanding, and so are the bodies in the rhythm of the movement with me.
Mhm.
Mhm, mhm,
I feel like, I was like a student of yours for 5 or 6 years until it was 2013 when I asked you, I said, I need a yoga instructor in Costa Rica for this retreat Josh and I are running. Do you know anyone? And you're like, I will be your yoga instructor in Costa Rica for this
Yeah.
retreat.
Yeah, me.
I was like, seriously? Because I have always, as you know, have you on this pedestal as a one of a kind rock star in what you do. And I was like, we're going to have Amber teach yoga at our little retreat in Costa Rica. And you arrived. I've never seen you without makeup on ever. And I never wear makeup.
What
And I
are
only
you
really
talking
noticed
about?
it when I see your face. I'm like, I should probably think about it, but I can't be bothered to take it off. That's my problem. But you arrived after a full day of travel, and traveling almost anywhere in Costa Rica or probably Central America is a bit of a pilgrimage. Your flight had been changed, something had happened. You landed in San Jose instead of the nearer airport, and you got in a taxi for like an 8-hour drive, and
Mhm.
you like tumbled out of this Jeep with your full makeup and your kitten heels. You're like, I'm starving. Where's dinner? And we sat down at the table, and I think it was my husband Josh was co-facilitating this retreat. And I think it was his first
Mhm.
real encounter with you. And dinner was brought to the table and everything. Like, I didn't know you were hilarious, but everything was just the most amazing thing you'd ever eaten. And like the whole thing. And Josh was like, is she for real? I was like, that's Amber. And it's amazing. And then day after day, we practiced with you, went to the beach. Like, and I felt like that was when I really got to know you, not just as, your student,
Mm,
but really the magic of who you are in this world.
mm,
And after that
mm,
was when I felt like a little bit more of an observer because I didn't feel like I was fitting in anymore to the offerings.
mhm.
I came back. It was actually just before that I came back when I think we reconnected because I was getting married and I was like, I want wicked arms. So I came back for your Pilates classes and then had continued after that. But I would be in your studio and, I really only ever came to your classes. I didn't resonate with anyone else.
Mhm,
Um, and then I felt like an energy shift and I kind of stopped coming. And it wasn't an energy shift from you. It was just in the space. And it's not a judgment. It's, a resonance where and it happened with me with a lot of different teachers I'd had where they served a purpose for a time and then it wasn't resonating. And this wasn't about you, it was just about being in that space with the people that were gathering. And so it kind of fell away. And then 2020 happened.
mhm.
I have a quick little intermission for this episode, or is it an intermission? I want to invite you to please head over to courageouspivot.com and subscribe there. There is a lot brewing around the Courageous Pivot, and I am working on opening up a little inner circle community. And the plan as of today is to start offering little workshops that only the inner circle will be invited to participate in, as well as the opportunity perhaps for live in-person events. Could it be? Could it be? It might just be. I'm also going to be sharing a little more about my own personal pivots, as well as some updates from our guests that have been on the show. So you may have heard the announcement to follow me on Substack. Well, we're changing course now. We are pivoting, and the action is over at courageouspivot.com. So go over there, get on the list. You'll get each episode dropped to your inbox, as well as exclusive first dibs access to everything that will be created in and around the idea of Courageous Pivot, doing that work, the developing framework, and of course, the beautiful community. I cannot wait to see you over there. Now, back to the episode. So you'd built up these studios, you'd moved and upgraded and scaled and had a lot of adversity throughout it. You had a flood, you had
Two
one of your
floods
studios, 2 floods, ongoing construction.
ongoing.
There was always construction at one of the locations.
Yeah.
Um, but I started coming back when you were on Ossington, like upstairs, the upstairs one,
Yeah.
because it felt like there'd been a grounding that had happened, and it was probably also relating to wherever I was at in my life then too, and needing that. I think I probably had a new baby and just like needed somewhere to go and be.
Mhm.
Um, but yes, and then there was 2020.
Well, you just said so many things, but I think like one of your gifts is being able to see things.
Yeah.
You saw something that I couldn't see. And maybe you felt it because of your life and your paths. And I was just so in that lightning bolt of just riding the yes, riding
Yeah.
the wave.
Well, I think that's what entrepreneurs do. I think that's the blessing and the curse of
Mm.
building something that you can get in your silo where you don't even give yourself space to step back and say, wait a second, is this what I'm intentionally wanting to build, or am I getting caught up in the yeses without saying, wait a second, is this still in alignment?
I mean, totally, totally. And I think if I started in 2010, what had happened through that decade up to 2020 was beyond anything I could have ever imagined.
I
And
share that. I share that same it was the same decade. And there were a lot of things being built then
yeah,
in that decade. In like to give it a category in the health and wellness space in Toronto, that was its boom.
yeah, yeah. As Marla from the old Downward Dog days says, it was the golden era and it is no longer.
It is definitely no, no, right now.
Yeah, I think well, there's kind of two things that happen because as I was still in that lightning bolt of saying yes and riding it and just every day being like, wow, look at this life I have built. I was also in my storyline of getting married and then trying to have a baby. And that was not easy. And while I was in the journey of my personal life, I felt a severing. There was a definite divide between the studio is happening, it's over there, it's high functioning, I don't have to be there. I'm going to tend to myself. And I do also see this now, of course, in retrospect, as I can look back and try to make sense of the whole story. Is it a story? What is it? It's a thing. It's the thing that happened. Anyway, I don't want to like name it as a story, but you know, my personal journey, every step of the way, there was the same message that kept coming through, which was it's time to slow down.
Mm,
It's time to focus on you. It's
you've
time.
never told me that before.
I had two miscarriages,
Mm,
one at 15 weeks and one at 18 weeks. And the thing about like they're called long-term miscarriages, like the first one was a bit of a shock. And the second one just it, it just broke me. We had told people you share the news. And I finally, at the breaking point, thought, I need to do something. If I don't do something different, this is not going to work. And I found a Chinese medicine doctor who worked specifically with women in fertility. And she said, you need to slow down. What are you eating? What are you doing all day? Are you meditating? And I mean, not to be too graphic, but she's like, you're just going to keep burning these babies alive. You need to build a nourishing, nurturing nest. And so I slowed down. I did acupuncture twice a week. I stopped teaching. I mean, I was teaching like 6 classes a day. I think I went down to teaching one class, one reformer class a day. And that was really hard for me. And then I was pregnant. And the first 2 trimesters were a little bit like, "Ugh,
yeah.
I don't want to be in fear because I don't want to infuse my baby with this, but I'm learning a different way." And then it was glorious and I loved being pregnant. I really did. And then I had the vision of a home water birth and it was going to be so angelic and magical. And then, hey, guess what? The universe was going to teach me the same thing.
Yeah.
emergency C-section. My body was ripped apart. I suddenly realized I had never learned how to ask for help. I couldn't even lean over to pick up my glass of water. And that was February. She was born February 17th, 2020, just before the world shut down, just before everyone lost their mind.
In their heart.
Okay, so now we're at 2020.
I just want to share something because I also had a miscarriage before I had my son. It's hard. And it's hard because it's something that most people don't speak about. And in my case, no one really even knew I was pregnant.
Mhm.
Part of what someone said this to me who'd also had a miscarriage, and she said, well, if I hadn't had mine, I wouldn't have the child that I have. And this is the exact right child for my family. And I think about your daughter who, and I am a mother, but your daughter is one of the or single most special little souls, spirits I've ever met. She is just a spark, like a sparkly spark of pure love and joy. And
I know, it makes me want to cry.
that
Yeah.
is you. Like that's what you infused.
Yeah, she got all of my sparkle.
No, you shared yours with her.
I am grateful. I was so happy when I was building her inside of me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And like you,
Yeah.
although my slowdown had to happen after I had my child, I'd already gotten, I was drilled in on a lot of stuff just by the nature of what I do. I slowed down and left my business in, I would say, capable hands, but they were not my hands.
Mm.
And in the first year, everyone quit. The first year I had my child, everyone quit. And the last person to quit was the person whose hands I left the business in, who resigned by email on a Friday evening.
I don't think I know this.
It's one of those things where, and it's really hard being a woman and a mother and an entrepreneur and it's like we can have it all. It's like, well, we actually can't, and maybe we shouldn't, is how I feel now.
Mhm.
I don't regret any of it, but I also was unable to do it all well, and something had to give.
Yeah.
And it did. And thankfully, it wasn't my marriage and it wasn't myself and it wasn't my baby. The business I was able to rebuild.
Yeah.
In your case, it was different.
Yeah. Yes, indeed it was.
So, what happened?
Hmm. I've never publicly talked about this, although
I do know.
I write about it. Writing about it is very different. What did happen? I think that'll be a question I will forever truly wonder about because I will have no answers. What I know is I loved the women that worked with me. There was 28 teachers. There were 6 managers. There were all the cleaning staff and the plant watering staff. I mean, I think there was 60 in total.
Wow.
And I loved these women. They were in my home. They were at my wedding. They held the ceremony at my wedding. I could never have imagined what happened to be something that happened to someone or that it would be something that happened to me. I mean, I think the timeline helps when for me, it gives a bit of clarity. Uh, so the world shuts down, say March 13th, chaos ensues. This whole pandemic thing is happening. The world converts to living online. Everyone is, well, I shouldn't say everyone because I don't want to be grand sweeping, but fear is predominant. And then George Floyd is murdered and a racial awakening happens in America. And then it travels to Canada and specifically Toronto, really takes on this need to join in with the BLM movement. And somehow in that exact timeline, I became labeled problematic in the wellness world. And specifically, really intense words were attached to me. And in the attachment of those words and the speed in which it happened was so rapid that I couldn't really make sense of it. I also think it's important to mention I had a breastfeeding newborn in my arms. But the layers of complexity from me being who I am was therefore upholding white supremacy because I am a successful white woman in the wellness world. So therefore I perpetuate harm and violence just by being who I am,
Existing.
just by
By
existing.
what I saw was a ridiculous, like some ridiculous articles about because your studios are on a second floor, you're body shaming, which,
And an ableist, yeah.
and yeah, which is insane because this is downtown Toronto. Like no one's opening a storefront studio in 2020 and beyond. It's financially impossible
Mm,
in most cases, self-funded at least, right?
mm,
I'd read that you were an ableist because you had fit instructors, which, I mean, who's to judge what fit and healthy is? But most often in the health and wellness world, people end up that way because they're exercising and immersed in the health and wellness world. And by like physiological fact is that when you move your body and you eat well, that physical fitness in whatever form it will manifest on your frame is the result,
mhm. Well,
within a broad margin of body types, really. So I read all that and I was like, "Okay."
mhm,
And
mhm,
but the white supremacy thing,
mhm,
because 'cause you're Jewish,
mhm.
I'm Jewish. You weren't intentionally causing harm or you weren't intentionally doing anything.
No, no, no. I think there is another important part, which is the cultural appropriation, which,
Right.
yeah, yeah. So it was kind of all of that joined en masse in what was called the 3-day social media takedown, a cancel campaign,
Yeah.
um,
By your own teachers.
which started by the teachers. Then the community jumped on. Then the larger community jumped on, which were other shockingly and appallingly like other businesses, the health hut. I could go on forever. It was just unbelievable to witness the burning down.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, so I'm not sure if you read that part or if what it then did was attract media attention. So 2 articles were written, one in the Globe and Mail and one in
We don't have to mention it.
doesn't matter. And it was like that was that solidified the end of my career.
Yeah. That part of your career. We'll get to the next part.
Yeah, that the end of that
Yeah.
chapter, full stop.
And then and I was sort of observing this. My grandmother passed away June 2nd, 2020. So that whole week for me was weird. It was just so intense and so weird. And I found myself like, oh gosh, like, I should sign up for this webinar. I should make this donation. Like that's how I was like, what
Mm,
is happening?
mhm,
Um, but then also started seeing, and that's when I sort of clued in, like other women lambasting each other for not being virtuous enough would be how I would put it.
that's a good
Um,
way, yeah.
and and then having, people of color close to me working on my team, and I'd be like, "What is happening? Like, what is this?"
Mm,
And the commentary was that if you don't give people room to learn, at least you've done more damage to
right.
just cancel without. And that gave me some perspective on it. I'm like, well, I'm very open to learning. And as I learned, I'm like, oh, I don't have these intentions with anything. Like it's not me. Like you can tell people who they are and what they believe and the harm that what they do has, and it's like, "Okay, that's interesting. Thank you for letting me know. I'll
Yeah,
take that to heart." But then I was like, "But I'm not there's no intention of hatred or discrimination or
right.
it's not in my heart."
Yeah,
So if it's not in my heart, it's being perceived by someone else, which I will take to heart and ask myself these questions, but if I'm not intending harm, it's it became this weird thing. Then I kind of stepped back and observed. You issued an apology publicly.
I did.
Was that because you felt pressure to, because you felt like you had done something wrong?
Yes, 100%. I felt pressured to do it. I felt
Mhm.
pressured to say the things that I said. I didn't actually even understand what I was saying.
Mm.
And I don't regret much in life, but I regret that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a pressure to respond. That was like there was a pressure and expectation for every business, everyone,
Mm,
every brand
yeah.
to make some statement about I've been wrong and I'll do better,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was the peak of the quote cancel culture.
Oh, it was the peak. I mean, it was just, again, here we are 5 years later, and I have spent the 5 years like just ripping myself apart, trying to understand how and where I so completely missed something. How could I have missed that direction? Where could I have given any inclination that that was something that was my intent? Like, ripped myself apart, excavated deep into my soul. Am I this? Do I do these things? Is the language that I use in my class harmful? Are the movements themselves harmful? I mean, these were things that were told to me, and I took them in, and I can say now that the answer is no. I know that for sure.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Especially because of my through line and my story about the process of alchemy and transformation and grief and sorrow, and that we are all experiencing those things in our own way. And the thing that can unite us is movement. It is across all culture, it is through every part of the globe that that movement and synchronized heartbeat, it is undeniably healing. And that to tap into that rhythm, to tap back into syncopation, to remember you have a heartbeat, that you're alive within, it is just, it's transformative. It help
Yeah.
shut the noise off.
Yeah.
And there's like this part of me that wants to just like crawl inside and say, I'm sorry for ever doubting you. But I had to go through that process just to make sure.
I don't think there's anything you could have done differently.
No, I don't think so either. I say I regret that apology because I see now there's nothing I could have done. Their minds were made up.
Yeah.
That's it. It was, it happened so quickly,
Yeah.
just night and day. These women saying, I love you. I'm so grateful for this studio, for this community, for being able to continue to do what we do, living online, and just night and day. And there's nothing I could have done.
No. And so after that, how much longer did you stay in Toronto? Your studios, I mean, they'd already been kind of shut
Yeah.
because of the vids. What happened next?
That's what we call it. Uh,
I can't call it the P word. I can't, it's just,
I lived through a
I
phase
can't.
of calling it the pan pan because it just, made it a little more fun. Yeah. So the studios, they had been closed and they were on, all of the subsidized blah, blah, blah. Luckily, fortunately, gratefully, I had great relationships with my landlords.
Mm,
I knew them, I knew their families. And I told them what happened, and they were incredible human beings and felt for me, cried with me, and I closed my businesses. I sold everything. I closed the studios. And then, yeah, we packed up our life into a bag and we went as far as we could go. I mean,
Mhm.
it was the pan at that point, so we traveled only within Canada. We stayed with friends and family, whoever would take us. We traveled
Mhm.
for out of a bag, which was incredibly refreshing with a 5-month-old daughter, learning that you really don't need anything. Yeah, we traveled for about 9 months, and, we made it back, and at that point had realized Toronto was no longer safe.
Mhm.
Yeah.
How do you mean?
I mean, you know this, Megan, because we're friends, but I was really not okay about what
Mhm.
happened.
Yeah.
I Something so deeply broke in me, I was unsure if I was ever gonna be okay again. I couldn't leave my house. I had panic attacks. I didn't even know what they were. I was so overcome by I thought they were out to kill me.
Mhm.
And what I've learned since about, fight, flight, freeze response is that I was just like stuck. I was just frozen for like way too long.
Mhm.
And yeah, it was my husband that was like, I think, I think we got to get out of here.
Mhm.
You need to be able to walk and live your life. So we moved to a small town. Yeah, we moved. We packed up our life and we moved. I mean, it's bittersweet because all I've ever known as family and root is Toronto. My father's tree is buried there. My memories are there. It's the city that made me who I am. My friends are there, all three of you. Uh, some of the family that I talked to. And so it was bittersweet. It was really hard and sad
Mm.
and emotional. And small town living is really quiet. It's really peaceful. There's so much nature. I could just walk for hours. I could walk and cry and not see a human being for hours. And I think it's been really healing.
You messaged me in the fall of 2022 and you said, "I don't know what's gotten into you lately, Megan, but you're on fire." And I think I said I should have looked it up, but I think I said something like, "I've been like this forever. You're just catching up."
Exactly. I think that is exactly what you said.
Yeah. And that was it, and we've talked about how you find the people and you find the information and you resonate at the frequency that you're at, and you had been doing so much healing and you'd come out of a, a deep darkness. And I don't mean the darkness of what happened, what was done to you, but it was sort of like a magnetism to dramatic beings with broken wings.
Mm,
And and you drew, and you still, I mean, you draw up people who need healing, which, you know, that's beautiful that people who need healing find you, because what you do is a physical medicine, but it's a soul medicine.
yeah,
But I think what you were recognizing is you don't have to also have the brokenness to help others heal. You were like, I am healing, and that gives you more capacity to heal others. And so we did an event together, a big one in January 2023. And I felt like that was like an ignition to something.
mhm,
And why I wanted to do that with you was to help support you in getting back out to do what you do without the fear. I said to you, I was like, this is a friendly room. Like, they are going to love you. And they'll love you even more if they know what happened to you, because we were all the renegades of the vids.
yeah, yeah,
And I felt like, as I always think, we have these circles of friendships, right?
Mhm.
And I feel like for a long time, it's like there's the central ring, the secondary ring, and the tertiary ring. And like, I really want to focus on the people in the inner ring most of all and making sure those are like my people and give time to those relationships. And I think for a lot of our time, we were in the third ring, but then you've come into my central ring. And, I'll, whenever you call, pick up the phone for you and I volunteer information, which I know I'm not supposed to do, but I do anyway. And I felt like you were like on this really powerful healing trajectory, teaching more regular classes and getting out there. And then you had another fire, as it were. And I
Yeah.
remember where I was when you're like, I have to talk to you. It's not super urgent, but if you could just, call me back as soon as you can. And that was in June 2024.
Yeah.
And what happened?
I have also not said this out loud. Do you know that you and Josh were the first people I called?
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, you are. I was June 9th, 2024. I was diagnosed with breast cancer. At first, there was just one tumor, but then they found three more, all scattered over my very broken heart. And I actually didn't panic. I just called you and I thought, you and Josh together are two of the wisest people I know. And I feel so grateful to call you friends, that I can be in your unbelievable wealth of knowledge that between both of you, you are helping to heal me. Yeah.
I take no credit because mostly I'm just on the sidelines, really. You're working with Josh most of all. But really, it's that. And I remember you told me, you're like, I did this to myself. My broken heart did this. And I said, well, that means that healing, you can do that too. If we
Yeah.
create the breaks, we can create the mends.
You did say that, and I've held on to that.
And
Ever.
you're doing it. We're recording this in October 2025.
Yeah.
Um, and what you did going through your, I want to call it like a cancer journey because
Well,
it all feels so cliche around it. But at the same time, like you've been, we talk very regularly. The way you talk about it is so, so funny. Just your experience in going into the matrix of the medical world, like Amber J
my
in
God.
that world.
It is so bizarre. It is just the most bizarre thing, especially because where I live, I mean, I have to drive to this death center and
Where you claim no one wears clothes.
no one wears clothes and I just skip on in. I'm listening to more disco and it is surreal. It has been surreal.
How you went through the last beep bop beep bop boop 16 months, is it now? I don't know that I've ever witnessed such courage and strength. And I don't say that lightly or as a cliche, but you dared to question every single thing you were told about your body and about what you were supposed to, in quotes, do as a patient.
I sure did. I sure did.
And I point that out as like for the reason that you're one of the strongest women I've ever seen. And every time one of these things would happen, I'd be like, "Oh my god, like how much more? How much more can she take?" But you just keep rising. Not, not easily. I'm not like and you're, to be clear, you weren't like, well, this is, the messenger and I'm just going to rise to the chat. Like it's been hard
Yes.
and like ongoing personal
Yeah.
reckoning and deep questions and all the whys and what now and why me, like understandably, like it's been a very real response. And then okay, now what do I get to do about this?
Yeah. Yeah, now what? Now what?
I suspect,
Mm.
you declined treatments because you said, well, at what measure do I need this treatment? They'd already prescribed it to you. You had more testing done and it revealed you actually didn't need it.
Mhm.
And I just wonder how many people that's not their story.
Countless, endless. Yeah.
And you worked really hard with Josh. Like you keep saying you're so grateful to us and all this, but you worked so hard. Like the discipline you've had
Mhm.
and that fire.
The discipline is what I learned in those early years in ballet.
Mhm.
It's the same thing that happened to me when I found Ashtanga. Like the thing about Shiketi ballet is that it's the same. It never changes. It doesn't alter. You stand at the bar and you do the same warm up every single time. Primary series, Ashtanga, second series, it is always the same. Working with Josh and having you as my coach along the side or my cheerleader, maybe both cheerleader. It's a discipline.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we laughed about the word discharge.
There's so many things we've laughed about.
Yeah. We cry, we laugh, we cry some more, then we laugh really hard, and then we try not to wet our pants from laughing so hard. But you're about to be discharged?
Yes, I am a discharged patient.
Do you feel like you've healed?
Yes and no. Yes and no. Yes, in that part of what the discipline has done and part of the journey, like, I thought I was healthy. I've learned so much about, like, what health really is that I feel I have healed.
Mm.
I can sense my body from the inside out like a working machine again, like an instrument that can play again. So that part feels healing.
Mhm.
I'm still, if like Josh and I, it's kind of like a 2-year detoxification program that may be 2 years also known as the rest of my life. Like who knows?
Yeah.
But the the hardest part in answering that question is just it's like the forever dance of the noise and the chaos inside the mind. That groove right back into the trauma is so deeply grooved in that, little by little by little, which is part of the practice and part of the discipline of changing the neuroplasticity so it doesn't always go there. I mean, that might take a lifetime.
Yeah. The trauma of 2020. Is that when you refer to trauma, is that what you're talking about?
I mean, also yes and no. The trauma of 2020, when I distill it down to like, why is it such a wound, is deep abandonment.
Yeah.
And the deep abandonment is the same wound as the 9-year-old child. It might be the same wound as the miscarriage. I mean, it's a continued trauma. Yeah. So yes, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Those women some have sent you notes of apology privately
two.
too. What would you have wanted those people to do? Like I'm asking this question because
Mm.
we've gone through a 5-year hurting mentality. I think we still are. People get swept up in things and they later can come back to their own mind and their own heart and realize, what was I thinking?
Mhm.
We've talked about, and maybe it's because we're both biased and think you're awesome, that like there's really nothing you could have done differently. And there's nothing you had done to be accused of what you were accused of. Is there anything on the other side that you had wanted to happen or that could still happen that could help you find peace from it or with it?
Mhm. There were 2 letters of apology from 2 different women, and then there was one face to face. And in that exchange,
The face to face.
yeah, like part of why it's such a live and active trauma is that I have so many memories that I love that are tangled up with these women.
Mm.
So even when I hear their name, at first there's like this swelling and then like, oh wait, oh God. Oh, oh right. And it happens like every fucking time. Like we're going fantasy
Mhm. Wish list.
for there to be like a public acknowledgement
Mm.
of we got so wrapped up. This isn't actually true. Because in that face-to-face exchange, those were the words I held on to the most.
Mm. Tell everyone. I've thought about writing to those publications. I have.
Yeah,
And I'm like, I don't think they have the critical thinking or capacity to even understand. And that's why they did what they did,
yeah. And
which is
it's
part of the challenge.
absolutely, and it's part of the nuance and it's part of the heartbreak that we've lost the capacity to have conversation, to be logical, to move the emotions out of the
Yeah.
conversation and just talk about what is like truly on the table here. The thing about the publications is that it also keeps this active and alive.
Yeah.
I have had far too many opportunities ended or taken from me because of what happens when
They Google you.
you Google my name.
I'm going to try and find like the best SEO title for this so it can come up first and only.
Yes, exactly.
It's insane. Like it's literally insane.
Yeah.
And I always want to like, pep talk you and be like, well, you want to rent from them anyway, or it's unfortunate that there's still so many people that can't think for themselves or dare to even have a difficult conversation and say, I came across this, like,
Mhm,
is
mhm,
there truth in this, or is there anything I should know?
mhm.
Or even maybe this was true. Have you learned? Like not saying
Right.
that that's necessarily it, but that there's no room for forgiveness, even if forgiveness may not be needed. Like this adherence to righteousness is so counter to what it is to exist peacefully in this world, for the world that, everyone says they want.
Mm, hmm.
Like you can't have love if you're still busy full of hate and rage and
Yeah. No, you can't. It actually doesn't work. And I think, uh, like, the other interesting thing about this particular moment, because I feel like it's more heated than ever, actually,
mm,
is that people just believe what they read online.
no, they don't read. They believe the sound bites and memes and
Right.
headlines. They're not
Headlines.
reading.
Yeah, totally true. Yeah, totally true.
Do you think you're going to stay living where you're living?
Mm.
Can you see the future that you want there?
You know the answer to this.
Yeah, so?
The answer is no.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah,
But I don't think Toronto's the answer either.
I think that is also the truth.
What I've always seen for you, and I'm going to put it out here. I don't know that I've like who listens or when they'll listen or whatever, but I've said this to you forever. So I'm going to put it out there. If anyone listening has an opportunity to go to one of Amber's classes in person, don't hesitate. Just do that as a step one. If you live within like 3 hours of Toronto and you're going to be teaching coming up, get here. And also, you have your online classes, which will give you a taste, but it's not the full Amber experience because you can't blast the music. But I've always seen you as the rock star, like, which is why I was too intimidated to talk to you for like the first 10 years I knew you. And we're going on like 19 years now.
Oh my God, that is just so funny to me.
But I still and I'm saying it here, but I see you traveling. Like, I see you on the West Coast and in LA and in Austin and in at these festivals and all these places with in big rooms, like massive spaces,
Outdoor.
bringing people out of their minds into their hearts, into their souls, into their bodies, into understanding, like you embody, how strong and powerful we all have the capacity to be. And for you to be tied to some, mildewy brick building in downtown Toronto, like I can smell it. Like that's not you.
You
Or I
always
don't think it ever was.
paint such a visceral picture, it's great. Yeah, and I mean, you and I have been talking about Austin, we've been dancing around the idea, so let's just pull the plug.
Baby steps, baby steps. But like really, like putting that call out and that intention and that big dream.
Yeah,
And I wanted to have you on because it's important to speak these words. I think it's also important for other people to hear them. That our actions, keyboard warrioring, has deep implications on real life and real humans. And to be quote unquote canceled, like how horrible.
yeah, it lingers forever, it's like a real bad stink bomb.
Yeah. And it makes you sick. And that was your experience.
Yeah, it made me sick. I took it in. I took it on, I took it
Yeah.
in, I metabolized it, and it made me sick.
As you're an artist, you're a
Yeah,
sensitive
yeah,
and you read energy and you take in energy.
yeah. And I could never imagine doing this to another human.
No.
So I tried to imagine it for so long
Yeah,
because I I could never imagine doing it.
I know.
It makes me think of the quote that I like hold close, which is I don't know it word for word, but something like we need to learn to be hard on systems and kind on humans.
Mm. I, on a very, very, very small scale, have been accused of going out of my way to harm
Mm,
another small business. It's ludicrous. And it was hurtful, and I was like, "What? Like, that's so opposite of who I am,"
yeah,
from people who I thought knew me. Um,
yeah.
but what I took from it, and I'll offer you this, that someone could think that you have that much power to destroy something. Like, what kind of power do we have to create something?
Mhm,
That is how you were seen,
mhm.
right? So now that like that's done, the cancer's done, you're still on the healing, like yada yada.
Over it, over it.
The gilded age, the age of the enchantress. It's like it's time to really be as positively powerful sounds so cheesy, but like what can we do with the powers we hold
Mhm,
to continue helping people wake up
mhm.
to the love and art and beauty and uniqueness and joy and all that that's really in the soul of everybody.
I mean, amen. I think if there's a question that keeps tumbling around, it's now what? What do I do with all of this?
Mhm.
What do I do with this journey I've been on and all that I've learned?
Well, I'll answer your question. It's that it has to be different. It
Yes,
has to be something new
yes,
and different.
yes.
And for anyone listening, that's what the whole podcast is, to reimagine. If I were to create something from scratch today with who I am today, what does that look like? What is that? And like write it down. Like
Mhm,
write out the vision.
mhm.
Find the pictures. Josh and I would go to your collage parties, which again, we weren't cool enough to be there, but like create a collage of what's possible.
Mhm,
Because if you look at what you created in the last 20 years, like day by day, what's possible in the next 20.
yeah.
I have another question for you.
Oh, okay. I felt like that was a
Um,
wrap up.
We're going to wrap it up, but I just wanted to ask you this because it came to my mind, and like it's a question I would have asked you on a voice note, but we're here. So we had you'd done a photo shoot and we talked about adding color.
Mm-hmm.
And now you've gone back to black and white.
Mm,
Why?
right. The meandering path.
And then when I was preparing for this, because I like went back in your Instagram, and it's like Instagram is one form of expression for you, I know. And I know you're also very guarded because of, what happened on Instagram. But it's like black and white, black and white, black and white. And then there's like spots of color, and then black and white. And there's like a lot of color. And then
back. It creeps in. There is something, and it is interesting because for me, black and white is its elegance. It's simplicity. It's actually not black and white.
no, I know it's not the black and white.
But I do understand what you're saying. I do. It's crept back in. There is this inclination to constantly go back to that black and white, isn't there?
It's funny.
Yeah, it is.
Last spring when you were over, I gave you a fluorescent orange sweater.
Oh, I can't wait for it to be sweater weather, and I will wear it again because I love it. It is the only thing colorful in my closet, but I do wear it.
The world needs you in full vibrancy, full color. Like you are needed now more than ever.
When Meghan Telpner says that to you, that lands.
And as much as I'd love you teaching down the street from me, that's not it.
Yeah.
Maybe for now. We bridge the dreams to make them happen. But whether you like it or not, it's going big. So big that you're untouchable.
Well, from your lips.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But truly, it is light and color and vibrancy. And every time I write, I think about what you say, which is imagine your daughter.
Mm.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, your words hold great meaning to me.
Okay, go do it then. Just go do it.
Okay.
You've got this.
Gotta go do all that stuff.
What would you tell? I want to say, like, what would you tell Amber of 20 years ago? What would you tell someone who's gone through a courageous pivot that is not of their choosing?
Mm-hmm.
What guidance could you offer to help someone through that very messy middle?
It's guidance that I wished I could follow then, and I'm inching closer to it now. But it's this trust that the redirection is protection. And don't lose your faith. Because I lost my faith for a while. Keep everything up that can hold that faith sparkly and shiny. Mm-hmm.
What helped you get it back?
Moving my body regularly every day. Yeah.
As we close, I want to ask everyone to go to your website, which is
The Misfit Method.
The Misfit Method.
Yes.
Get on your email list. Subscribe to your membership with your classes.
We have a discount code for you.
Oh, tell me your discount code.
Well, it's Meghan, obviously.
Meghan with an H.
Meghan with an H.
Okay, we'll put that in the show notes for everybody. Get on Amber's list. Find out when she has a live class that you can get to. Or if you're anywhere associated with a studio and want to co-host her in your city, there we go, Amber.
There we go.
Plant the seed.
Call it in.
Call it in. You'll be the all-star at your studio for introducing her to your community, because she is truly, and I'm not just saying this because she's one of my dearest friends. She's one of my dearest friends because she is a one-of-a-kind gem of a human. I love you with all my heart.
Meghan, I love you so deeply. Thank you for today.
Thank you for trusting me to host this with you, for you.
It was a big one.
Thank you so much for listening through to the end, hearing Amber out, the full extent of our conversation. It felt a bit it's quite vulnerable, really, to have a conversation in a way that we would have had privately, but to share. And I do feel like a lot of these, it's important to hear someone speak about their life and their experience of life and navigating these challenges, that not all courageous pivots are the sunshine and rainbows with the happy endings, that sometimes there are things that happen to us that we have to find ways to navigate. And that's really what Amber's story is about. And of course, we're just in the middle. Like, where are we going? What is next? I want to invite you, please, you could subscribe to Amber's Substack. You can subscribe to her membership and access those 400 plus class videos she has available, and check out her schedule and see if she is coming to a place near you where you can experience her classes live. That is where the beautiful, beautiful soul medicine is. She is a gift to the world, a gem of a human. There is nobody like her, at least no one I've ever met. So I hope that you will become part of her community too, if it all resonates with you. Thank you, as always, for listening. If you love this episode, if you have something to share, please leave a comment, leave a review. It means so much to us who are producing it, myself and my assistant Jen, to our guests, and helps us be found by others. So thank you, as always. Have a beautiful rest of your day.